Look at that well laid out build plate, man. That is a well situated build plate. I even learned to have my holes facing down so resin drains back into the vat. Bam, we getting good. So as you can see, we got Wolverine here from LA Figures, in keeping with our Nightcrawler video we just did, knocking out some of these X-Men models I've got that I've been wanting to do for a while. So here we go. Everything's, I went ahead and just printed everything off, and it's all been cured and everything, so everything looks good. Did a little bit of cleanup with my X-Acto knife, and I would say if you watched the Nightcrawler video, first if you didn't, go back and check it out. But on that one, I had a lot of issues with a lot of the keying and the pegs not fitting right. And this one is much better. So you'll see here, like the legs go in good. Like this is 2 pieces. That went in well. Only ones that like didn't are kind of acceptable. Like the waist is just a little off. Let me show you this. I'm trying to do this with one hand, kind of hard. So there you go. You can see it just doesn't quite go down enough to kind of close off that little gap there. But that's reasonable. We can deal with that. We can scuff it up, hit it with some sandpaper, and close that off. The issue we were having before is they were way off. So I can handle, that's perfectly fine. So everything looks good. We'll do a little bit more cleanup here, clean up some contact points, and get it primed. All right, guys, so we got Wolverine all primed, and we're getting ready to start with something I'm going to try new. I've been very busy, as you can see, getting all kinds of new things, new shades. I got the much coveted Known Oil. I got some inks we're going to do here in a minute. I got some of this fluorescence for some other stuff. I finally got some panel liner. And I got this fairy flesh set that we're going to try to do. Comes with a bunch of different colors to do skin. Cool trip. I also got some brand new brushes. Fun trip. But what we're focusing on right now is this ink. So what we're going to do is, the inks are really nice because they're really light and thin and transparent. And essentially, a lot of Wolverine's suit here is yellow. And yellow, you can't put yellow over black. And we want to do a nice highlight. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over with like what we call a zenithal. I just haven't pieced together. He's not glued yet. And we're going to spray what's called a zenithal highlight of that white ink and try to cover a bunch of that. It's going to give us some natural kind of highlights already where it's kind of filling in the areas, but give us a nice base to then do the yellows and everything. So let's go ahead and load up our paintbrush, and we're going to try our first time trying this white ink zenithal. So here I am with the airbrush here, just coming in, and when you do a zenithal like this, the goal is you kind of want to use it like you're spraying from the light source. So the idea being it's supposed to kind of capture and fall into the muscles, fall into the areas, like how the sun would. I do a little bit more on the legs though, because like I said before, this yellow base that I'm mixing right now needs a pretty light base so it shows up. So you see there, I just splash a bunch of paint all over the place. Was struggling here with the yellow. I had to stop a few times doing this to clean out my airbrush and try to just get some clogs out. I think I had a bunch of old stuff in there that I didn't properly clean or clean good enough the last time I used it, so it was causing some issues, but we got to the point. Now this stuff, this is the Citadel blue that I wanted to use for all the blue parts, and you can tell it's just not coming out good. It was a thick paint already. I tried to water it down as much as possible, but I don't think I could get it thin enough. It's just not covering, it's not coming out, it kept clogging. So you're going to see I bailed on that and just went with a brush. Luckily, it did go on really clean and smooth and didn't leave a lot of streaks. So I just decided to pull out the old brush, and we're going to manually do all the boots and gloves and everything in this blue here, the old-fashioned way. Now we're going in with the red to do the belt on the waist there. This is just the flat red from Vallejo. And next we're putting in some white here, and really we're just doing this so that the brighter fluorescent red that we're going to put on the back of the belt buckle shows up a little bit more. Again, anytime you're trying to do something vibrant, you want to put a white base down, because if you're going over the primer or the gray, it just doesn't hold very well. So now I'm coming in with a more brighter fluorescent red than what the red was on the belt. And now we're working on just the blackness on the boots that comes all around the trim and down the middle and on the sole of the boot. Luckily, the definition of the actual model gives us a pretty solid edge between the blue and the black, so it wasn't too hard to just be a little bit careful and make sure we got that trim good. And now we're coming in and putting the black on the X of the belt buckle to finish out the waist for the most part. So one of the things I'm really excited to get is the, where's the label? Oh, I'm already leaking it out. The panel liner, accent color here from Tamina. Oh my gosh. That panel line is like almost like a wash, but like really good for doing like lines. This stuff is like magic in a bottle. Just really good at like filling in for doing like panel lines or when you just need to dab in color. So it comes in this little stick right here. And what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna put it on this rebar, boop, boop. See how it kind of just fills in the gaps, falls into the places. A little heavy there, but we can just brush a little bit of it off. And it just gives it more definition. It's a little cheat. So this stuff is really good for just like all the little lines and seams that we need to get. Really good for, I mean, kind of designed for like Gundams and like ship models and stuff, but really cool tool to have at your disposal. Can't recommend it enough. Excited to use it more often. I realized I didn't show any of the base, but here we go is the base. I did kind of a little bit more than what I usually do. Hold on, let me pause this. I got the Rolex 24 on in the background, but usually, I come in and do like my dry brushing, but I did two different grays, and then tried to do some edge trimming, so just giving it a little bit more. And then I did like an umber wash in the crevasses, and the crevices, doing my ground affected crevasses line. But got the feet on there. Probably gonna hit all this with a matte spray here in a minute, and I got a plan for the adamantium claws. So here we are, and look guys, I got a desk now. I moved some stuff around to get a nice desk so I don't have to tear up my counter anymore. So I got a nice little area here. But we're gonna do something I've been putting off, and we're gonna start on some flesh. Hopefully this yellow doesn't mess us up too much. I think that gets covered by the blue like guards though, from when it splashed onto it. But we're gonna start with the arms. We do also have a little bit of flesh on the face there. I don't know if I'm gonna do that with an airbrush but I got this cool thing, this flesh set. It comes with all these paints that are designed for flesh. If you've ever watched Ground Affected, he does a lot of really good tutorials on his painting. This was like his favorite set for a long time, and so much so that he talked about it all the time, where people couldn't get it anymore because it kept being out of stock. So he had to come up with another solution. But they had it in stock, so I got it. But they also give this handy guide here that kind of gives you tips on if you want to do like a natural or a more like intense. I think we're going to go for the intense. And you can see there it says to start with the reddish flesh and highlight with this color and then kind of work your way up to kind of a more like intense. I think that'll be a good look for Wolverine. So we're going to see it. We're going to give it a shot. I'm going to try do it with the airbrush, but my airbrush has been really problematic lately, if you saw just a second ago. But we're going to give it a shot and base these arms and kind of use the arms as a test bed before we start on the face. All right, I'm going to apologize in advance here. I got to frame, I was, home by myself, so I had no way of really knowing if this was capturing, and you can already tell my stupid hand blocking most of it. I had to cut a lot of this footage because you can't see anything, but tried to keep some shots in where you can kind of see the flesh either on the face in the background or when I lift the arm up. But started with the medium that we talked about, and now I'm coming in with the so we did the 3 stages. I did skip one of the darker stages, but this is the highlight skin. And it was really cool to start with like a darker, almost like maroonish base and work your way up to what looked like real skin. And, maybe only a very little bit of it shines through, but it does definitely make a difference than just throwing on one paint color and calling it a day. Definitely a fun experience to work through that set and kind of see the flesh start to take form. Here was my gun was clogging, so you'll see I'll just rapidly start pumping it. What would happen is when I release, you'd get a burst of it, but then when you held it down, so I just quick hit it. All right, so it's a little bit of a test fit. I like it. You get the different shades. I did not do the burn flesh that it said to do, just because the pieces were so small. I didn't feel like I could get it into certain areas. We can always come in later and do a little shade if we want to, but all in all, I think it looks pretty good, and we got to do all those arm hairs, which is going to take a while, so we're going to let those dry. We'll come back in and start doing some arm hairs and teeth and everything, but all in all, well done shade set. I didn't use everything, but I think that's pretty good. I'll also show you what I did here on the claws. The end ones turned out, I think, pretty good, but like when you get in the middle ones, it was hard to get them as good. I used, where's it at? Is it not in here? So I have this chrome marker, which wasn't great because it leaves a lot of like streaks, but I don't have any like paint that has that mirrored look to it. So I just had to like really push the pen and kind of glob it up on there, and it did all right on the ends, but like I said, in the middles. I tried to put it like in, just kept pushing it in a cup to try to use it with a brush, but that didn't really work either. But I think it looks all right. I might have to figure out a better solution down the road, but for this, I think it'll work. All right, so here I'm learning a little bit better about positioning myself with the camera, but you can see this a little bit better with the brush. But we're gonna come in and do the cowl, do all the black that goes around the mask. Again, luckily the model is pretty well defined, where like the yellow and the black meet on the face and the mask, where I had a pretty defined line, so it wasn't too difficult. I always do struggle though with like the facing edge. So if you imagine like the wall comes up, but then there's a drop that you have to kind of trim as well, that is a challenge, because that's where the actual flesh color meets the mask. You can see here I did the teeth and the inside of the mouth. Probably the best I've done on teeth, where I felt like each individual tooth was like a solid coat. It didn't get all gumped up and you couldn't see the defining lines in the teeth. Now was the process of painting all that arm hair. After very quickly decided that I'm not going to be able to do each individual one, so I decided to just do a kind of like a dry brush and hope that the brown would kind of grab all of the molded lines for the arm hairs, and that ended up working pretty good, I think. there you have it. One thing I didn't show is I came back over with the RyCam flesh shade and just hit all these shaded areas. And I really think it turned out good. I really kind of blended and everything together and put in the arm hairs and everything. So we're pretty much done. I'm going to hit it with a matte spray and then we're going to call it done. Actually, we'll go over the face real quick. Dang, look how good that turned out. I hit the flesh shade on there too. Again, white eyes. Always love when we can do white eyes, but I'm actually really happy with how the flesh turned out and everything. So let's go ahead and do the full review. So there you have it. There's another one done. This one, it was definitely a learning process. I'm happy with how the flesh and stuff turned out. I think we've upgraded again on getting the faces, doing better with faces and things. Doing the teeth, that's probably the best teeth I've done. Definitely learning too about just like how the pieces can come together. So when I did that yellow at first, I really didn't like how there was like a green tint to that yellow. But once you added it and put the blacks and the reds and added the blue parts on and stuff, I think it's not nearly as noticeable, and it looks like yellow. So sometimes you just kind of have to like roll with it and see how it looks when the whole thing comes together. But I'm happy with it. If you looked in the video in the background, you could kind of see what is coming next, what I'm working on next. But other than that, depending on when you're watching this, it might already be up, so you can go check it out. But I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.